Oh, yes, sir, and yes, ma'am. Let's get this. It's game week for the Texas Longhorns and the majority of college football. We are coming to you live from the capital city of the great state of Texas. We're overlooking downtown Austin and the University of Texas. Welcome to the weekly broadcast and multicast that understands the pride and tradition of Texas football, and the program will never be entrusted to the timid of the weak. This is the Eyes on Texas multicast. We are a product of the Republic of Football on Dave Campbell's Texas Football Podcast Network, also on the Horn in Austin YouTube pages. We are powered by our presenting partners at Grande Equipment and our 5 other founding partners. We'll tell you about them throughout the morning. I'm Aaron Hogan, morning show host at the Horn here in Austin. And see the hat right there? He is the senior writer at Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine, Mike Craven. Hello, Mike. It's game week.
I just noticed whose signature is on that hat.
Who is it?
I think it's Tom Herman.
Tom Herman. We got a Tom Herman.
A big ticket item there.
We see the helmet on the other side back over there. Yeah, we got a Tom Herman. We got Tom Herman everywhere. We need some Sark
FAU
gear.
Owls, Tom Herman.
You see me, I'm wearing the gear for the first time. It's
There you
game
go.
week. It's game week. You
There
know,
you
I'll
go.
be wearing the burn ones. You're wearing your
I got
UTEP Miners.
apparel. Yeah, repping the
Home field apparel. But
repping UTEP.
UTEP did play this week.
They did. RIP UTEP's 2023 season already. Lost to Jack State in week 0. But yeah, like you said, we're here. I've written about this football season for the past 7 months. And it's time to admit that I don't know anything. And
there we go.
We'll find it all
and
out
coming
on
up
Saturday.
in our second quarter, you'll tell you coming up, we break our multicast into 4 quarters every week, halftime. And so Dave Campbell's Texas Football, our second quarter, we'll go deep dive on Rice, the Longhorn opponent. And here it is, page whatever it is. You did the Rice preview.
Did
So
the Rice
no
preview.
one doing a podcast in Texas, in this country, in Austin for sure, or all over the great state knows more about Rice than you do.
No, there's probably only 3 or 4 media people in the world that know more about Rice than I do, and 2 of them work on our podcast. Go listen to The Roost. Anybody listening to us can go download The Roost on the Republic of Football. Wherever you found this, you just scroll, you find The Roost, and that'll be Rice's side of this deal, so you can get an insider look from behind the scenes.
At Dave Campbell's, you have all 13 FBS teams in Texas covered,
Yep.
and podcasts and coverage, and I mean it's the passion. It's this time of year. We're all finally through summer. Kids are back in school. School's open, and it's time for football. We got tailgate parties on the brain, and the Longhorns and the Rice Owls just coming up on Saturday at 2:30. It's going to be hot. Make sure you're hydrating all week long. I know that I heard from UT that they did a mock game this past Saturday at 2:30. And I think the field temperature at one point reached 140, 145 degrees. So it's going to be hot. And I worry more, Mike, about the fans than the players.
No doubt.
Because the players will have misters and hydration, and they'll rotate. And Stark's going to play everybody this week.
It's cooler in the pads once you start sweating and stuff like that. It's better than just standing in it.
Yeah, I mean, for the fans, hydrate. CDC has already said there'll be water stations and free water. And, don't overdo the tailgating ahead of it. That leads to a lot of issues too if you've had too many cold drinks and whatever you're doing. But be ready, 2:30, but I know you're ready for it. Let's get it. It's a multicast that keeps you on top of all things Texas football. We call it the multicast because it's available to watch every week on our YouTube channels at Dave Campbell's Texas Football and the Horn FM in Austin, hornfm.com. Also available to listen. You just want to listen in your car, listen while you're working out. iTunes and Spotify, it's there as well. And you can follow our show and cast on Twitter, Eyes on Texas FB. Also on Instagram at Eyes on Texas Pod. And now on Facebook, we are live, and that is Eyes on Texas Podcast on Facebook, if you're still there. Before we start, I want to thank our presenting partners at Grande Equipment. My great friend Wes Murray and his team understand that your reputation is all you have when it comes to a project. Large or small, you need equipment. Heavy equipment of any kind, that's all that matters, is getting it done on time within your budget. That's how Grande has operated for 31 years. They're not in the equipment business, Wes always tells me. They're in the relationship business with you. They partner with you. Just earning your business, and you're going with Grande, that's the start of it. They're going to get you to the end. When you need that piece of equipment for your project or projects or equipment, they get you what you want. It'll be job site ready, hassle-free every time. From major manufacturers. They're independent. That's the big key. They can get you Caterpillar, John Deere, Komatsu, Volvo. They're not locked into one brand. Heavy equipment sales and rentals. It's Grande Equipment. They also have a new renewable energy sector as well, supporting solar projects all over the great state and the country. Grande is your international independent dealer. Find them at grandeequipment.com, but they're local, remember. They don't overpromise. They overdeliver at grandeequipment.com. All right, the EOT, the Eyes on Texas, broke into 4 quarters. As we said in the second quarter, Mike, we'll drill down on the Longhorns' opening opponent, the Rice Owls. Also hear from Sark on the position group he's most excited to see actually play on Saturday. You could try to predict what that is and what type positional battles they're still watching closely right now headed into this game week. Coming up at halftime, it's all things Longhorns in the NFL, including a Longhorn legend released today. It's cut down day around the NFL. All rosters have to be to 53 by Tuesday, so we'll go into that. Also, some thoughts on the weekend of football we just got to see on 0 week. In our third quarter, talk quarterbacks and the lines of scrimmage for the Longhorns coming out of camp. And in the fourth quarter, it's our Final Four, the big debates and questions headed into the first big weekend of the college football season. But, Michael, let's kick it off with our first quarter presented by the man, TheTexasMortgageGuy.com. That's my buddy Carlos Carrion and your buddy as well, TheTexasMortgageGuy.com. We will learn more about him coming up. Well, Mike, we record this multicast, as people know by now, on a Monday. And so Steve Sarkisian this morning at about 11 o'clock had a game week news conference to get ready, first of the year. And there were a lot of good questions, a lot of good thoughts, and let's cut through some of those to lead into conversations about this game and this team and how to get you ready for game week. Let's start with this one. Is there a sense of urgency now that camp is over, all the work is done, and the season is here? Here's Sark on his team's level of excitement to get after it and play somebody else.
For sure. I think our guys are really excited. Like I just got done talking to them. As much as we're excited to play on Saturday, we need to do a great job this week of being present today, and we need to focus on today. Saturday will come soon enough. We need to be present today, and we need to be taking in all the information today, and then go out and try to do it tomorrow. And so we're excited. Our guys have worked really hard. And so, ultimately, I want them to play really well. And so my job as the coach is to prepare them to play well, and them understanding, Saturday's a few days from now. So let's focus on where we're at. Let's be present today.
Present today. This is a team and we'll hear Sark coming up, Mike, about expectations and this team embracing it. But, man, if you were watching College Game Day over the weekend, which most college football fans were, all the ESPN experts picking Texas to win the Big 12. A lot of heck, we'll talk about it in our Final Four in the fourth quarter. Desmond Howard is picking Texas to play for the national championship. That's new for this program. There's been some years where we're back, they're back, Texas is back, but this is the first time I can remember in a long time, Mike, where Texas, not just Texas fans, but the national media expecting Texas to be really good this year.
It feels wide open for them. Kansas State's taking a step back or relatively taking a step back, losing some guys. TCU, obviously, with all the losses that they've had. And Texas Tech is coming up. We don't know what Baylor is. And so, it feels like a year to win it and head to the SEC. You have the most talented roster. You have experience pretty much everywhere, specifically on the offensive line and defensive line. And so, Texas is the most talented team in the Big 12. It just comes down to if Sark, can handle the week-to-week kind of ups and downs you got to have. And if those players in the locker room can handle the expectations. And so I think the biggest obstacle for Texas in 2023 is Texas.
Yeah.
And they know that.
Consistency, playing to a level, and that's perfect for this conversation here with Sark. Asked today about embracing those expectations. He has not shied away from them at all from the spring into the summer, and now here we are. The talking season is almost over, and you're trying to play. Are you okay with all the picks and all the prognostications?
Well, I enjoy it. We all want to be on good teams. I think that's the nature of being a competitor, and that's the nature of sport. And I credit our staff, and not just our full-time coaches, but our recruiting staff, our strength and conditioning staff, our training room staff, our administration. Everybody's put in a lot of hard work just to get us to this point. And we're not a finished product yet. But it is enjoyable to know that, man, that group of guys that I get to coach every day, those are my guys. It definitely feels that way, and they respond that way. And I do think we're pretty good. We'll find out come December how good we are, but I think we're pretty good. Now we need to go play like it.
All right, that starts with the Rice Owls. We'll do the deep dive on Rice coming up and the other more micro managing situations for the Longhorns this week, but being present today, embracing the expectations. And that's when he said in that first cut, Mike, is really what's going to be the key for Texas. You just said it. The biggest impediment for Texas, the Alabama game is a monster. The Alabama game is coming. We'll do full coverage of that next week, obviously, and get you ready depending on whatever happens on Saturday. But that doesn't derail any part of the Longhorn season or their goals. I mean, the Rice game is a preparation. Everybody should play. Deal with the heat. Don't get anybody hurt. But play with the bar. I mean, that's really where Texas is. You said before on this multicast, you would be less surprised to see the Longhorns win at Alabama than you would be to see them, or you'd be more surprised or less surprised, or to see them run the table in the Big 12, because we just haven't seen a Longhorn team in a long time be consistent week to week, play to their standard, not the level of their opponent. How many times have we heard play down to the competition? That can't happen this year.
Yeah, I mean, they need to go out from the very beginning and just make a statement, like a proof of concept, right? And you come out against Rice and you dominate a team that is going to be in bowl contention. This isn't a 2-10 Rice team. This is going to be a decent American Athletic Conference team. If you go out there and make a statement, win big, the defense plays well, Quinn Ewers looks good, the running backs come around, like all of a sudden you go into that Alabama game with a bunch of momentum and a bunch of feel good. What you don't want to happen this week is to kind of lollygag through it and be slow and start off slow and still have your starters in there come the third quarter, fourth quarter, and you kind of grind your way through this thing to where you've played too many snaps in that heat, a week before Alabama. This needs to be a preseason football game.
Yeah.
And hopefully they come out and do what they're supposed to do early and take, not their foot off the gas, right? All gas, no brakes, but be able to put in some backups and get some of those young guys some snaps.
Yeah, 3 deep, 4 deep onto your depth chart. And, I always say the rabble meter at the stands. The rabble, they're going to be mad and hot anyhow. All they want to do is cheer and probably get out of there by the third quarter. They'd be good. Then listen to it or see it when they get home. That's old school way. Can this team embrace that and get there? So here was another good question for Sark as we do the macro view of game week. He was asked today about after the offseason, summer camp, now even training camp. What are the known elite abilities of your team? What do you feel like when you wake up in the morning, about your team is really good?
Well, I think we've got really good playmakers on this team, right? And so, I've had pretty good understanding who Xavier Worthy is. I have a pretty good understanding of J.T. Sanders, Jordan Whittington, A.D. Mitchell. I have a pretty good understanding of those guys. I have a pretty good understanding that Jaylan Ford is going to find the football in some way, shape, or form. Now going through training camp, I have a pretty good understanding Jalen Catalon is going to find the football. So there's some things that you know, and there's some other things that you learn about as you go. And sometimes you learn about them in the first quarter or the second quarter. You just don't know. But the reality of it, there's some things that I know, and I think we've got some explosive playmaking ability. We have some guys that find the football on defense, and then ultimately the character of the team. I think I know, but we need to play like it. We need to play with fanatical effort. We need to populate the ball defensively, and we need to be electric on offense. And we've got to create explosive plays.
Electric on offense, Mike. He knows they got playmakers. They're not a finished product, as we've heard him say, but at the same time, they should, have explosive plays. And I know the number one focus through camp on the defensive side has been forcing turnovers. They were only 19 turnovers all last year in 13 games. That's got to improve. The ball hawking, but if you're turning the ball over in camp, you're turning the ball over. So you got to look at that. But this should be an explosive football team. That if they don't shoot themselves in the foot, you're going to have a hard time outscoring them.
It's telling that Jalen Catalon's the second name off his mouth when he's thinking defense. That's a big deal for the secondary and in the leadership, and that guy's coming in here ready to play some football. Yeah, I mean, there's not many holes, right? I mean, you look around, and I think the coolest thing, or the thing that gives me the most confidence for Texas going in this year, is how unapologetic Steve Sarkisian's been about liking this football team.
Yeah.
He hadn't tried to undersell it or create some drama or, we're going to figure it out. With the Lou Holtz thing, right, where you're playing like directional state U, and it's like, man, we're going to get their best shot. And they're a good football team. He likes the football team. He knows some stuff that he still needs to see when the live bullets start flying. But he hasn't ran from the expectations and from the talent on this football team. And I think that helps the confidence in the room.
Yeah, and I would say this, that just covering the team as long as we have, the fact that they didn't rest by and feel like, okay, we got some young guys that are coming in key places, but they still pinpointed but attacked the portal. I mean, the guys he mentioned, A.D. Mitchell, Jalen Catalon. They went into the portal at the very beginning and got a 4-year kicker from Stanford so they don't have a question mark at kicker. They go into the season knowing they got a guy in Ryan Sanborn who played 4 seasons, was an all-conference player. He's going to handle kickoffs and kicking and maybe even punting if he needs to. I mean, those are important gets in the transfer portal. And even as important, I think, in game week is the ability to bring back some of these 60-year players like Christian Jones at right tackle. Bringing back Jalen Ford and keeping him out of the NFL. I mean, Jordan Whittington, to combine all that, that's where you feel, okay, we've got good mix of veterans, good mix of young, and then we attack the portal in the smart places. And to be able to keep Malik Murphy from jumping out of here, these are all, when you say they don't have many question marks, well, they really did a good job of making sure they didn't. I mean, they attacked the portal in the smart places because last year they were thin in the secondary and they were thin in the in the wide receiver position when some injuries set in. And you could tell Sark was, I'm not dealing with that again. We're going to have too many receivers. We're going to go get Jalen Catalon to go with our young guys. We're going to make sure we have the boxes checked so we're not having all these questions. We can just have to go play to a bar.
Yeah, roster construction is not an issue in Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
I have my doubts about Sark, or just like my questions about Sark and his history, and if he can turn that around, and if Quinn Ewers takes that next step, and if you could just run the table, right? It's hard to do. It's hard to go 12-0, 11-1, and that's what they have to do out of the Big 12 to have a chance to be in the college football playoff. But I have no doubts about the talent. I have no doubts about the roster, and with you, I agree that the way they attack the transfer portal on top of how well they recruit, they've done a great job putting this together in a time where this is kind of unknown territory, how to do this thing. I think they've navigated it really well.
Well, embracing expectations, but also embracing the portal. Sark talks about, evolve or die. And then, they've got NIL money. They've got a pool of money that a lot of people don't. And, don't apologize for it. Go for it.
I think his NFL experience helps in this way, because he's dealt with free agency, and he's dealt with the draft, and he's dealt with contracts and money and constructing rosters in a way that is more aligned with college football now than it was 10 years ago, and I think that experience kind of helps him with that.
Well, once you get in the NFL, I've heard it from so many former Longhorns who go on to be players, you realize real quick that it's a business. It's a business. I love the sport I played since I'm a kid, but you get there real quick, and they're always trying to draft your replacement. They're always trying to cut you back where they can. It's a business. So Sark, I think he's taken this whole portal and this staff have taken the whole new landscape of college football and said, embrace it. It's a business. And we're part of the business, and we have advantages that a lot of schools don't have. So let's not apologize for it. Let's go build a roster, and I think they've done a nice job of that. Real quick, and maybe a little longer, the big story of last week that we haven't addressed is what happened in Lubbock, Texas. Last week, we had an interesting week in Austin, and then certainly in Lubbock. Brett Yormark, the gloves are off, essentially, for the conference commissioner, who Brett Yormark's done a great job. I mean, I can't sing his plaudits enough for what he's been since he's gotten here. He's got Texas for last year and now this year. But he knows this conference is about the future. This conference will not include Texas. So what better way, in my opinion, if you're a fan of wrestling, you're a fan of marketing. He comes from the marketing world where he was at Rock Nation before he got to Big 12. So he's used to promoting acts and how am I going to get this record sold? How am I going to get this act pushed? You create controversy. And what better way than to pick a fight with Texas on your way out, on their way out. Once I got them, let's pick a fight with them a little bit to help pick up one of our other brands. So while at a group of fundraising booster lunch in Lubbock, Texas last week, the conference commissioner, Brett Yormark, said this to Joey McGuire, the head coach of the Red Raiders, about their matchup with the Longhorns right after Thanksgiving in November.
Candidly, we were able to get Texas and Oklahoma out a year early. That was a big deal for us, and I think all of you, okay? And Coach, I'm not going to put any pressure on you, but I'm going to be in Austin for Thanksgiving, okay? And you better take care of business like you did right here in Lubbock last year, okay?
Take care of business. So for a Longhorn fan that's openly rooting for an opponent in your conference against your conference, I would also say, Mike, for you comment, to say we got him out a year early, this commissioner would crawl over glass to keep Texas in the conference if he could. And Oklahoma, he's losing 80% of his revenue and his brand. But so he's trying to begin the new branding process. I get it. Your thoughts?
I do think two things can be true. I think we can admit that he would rather have Texas and Oklahoma in the conference than not in the conference.
True.
But I do think it's better for everybody involved that they're out a year early.
Agreed.
Like, there was no reason to kind of like carry it on and do the
Be
2-year
bitter.
cycle thing and all that kind of stuff. So I think he's done a good job at that exit strategy, and we all are the hero of our own story, right? Like, he's going to create a narrative that suits him in the Big 12, and that's what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to sell his conference, and he works for the Big 12. He works for Texas Tech. He doesn't work for Texas anymore, right? And so I think your conference or your commissioner can say that stuff and then also not cheat. You know, like I don't think there's going to be any cheating or any like real things that happen here. Texas fans my whole life have been complaining about not getting calls, and they have every advantage in the world, and they still find a way to like be, you know, the victim in this type of thing. But he's just playing the deal up, and he's got a coach in Joey McGuire who's fine with it. You know, like isn't going to apologize for it and run away from it. And college football, this is what's fun about college football. I don't understand why we have to like beat the fun out of this game. Like, you've already taken our rivalries. You've already taken our bowl matchups, right? Like, it's all for money, and like now we're not allowed to have fun anymore. It's like the NFL.
Yeah, you know, Longhorn fans don't get too bent out of shape now. Obviously, everybody watching the calls, and you know, if you're getting homered a little bit,
They didn't get any holding calls last year, so it
well,
can't
but
get
of
any
course
worse.
that led to the Longhorns with the embrace the hate, right? The next day on an interview at orangebloods.com, Chris Del Conte said they've printed T-shirts for the whole staff, and not just for football. They are going to embrace the hate. That's a motto that they have this year because they know that, you know, and CDC took it to the step that last year in the Big 12 they won 13 championships in the Big 12, and he said we want to win all 20 on our way out that we compete in, and embrace that hate. Let's go get it. Let's leave a mark. Now, the embrace the hate thing has become, you know, attacked by the politically correct crowd for whatever reason. I think that it's embracing, you know, hate of all kinds. It's really not. But either way, let's hear Sark today. He had a chance to respond for the first time that we've heard him on the commissioner's comments that does, I'll say this for Brett Yormark, if it's marketing, you know, you say he works for Texas Tech and the other schools. He actually works for ESPN, too.
Sure.
He just made this game for casual fans kind of a must-watch game.
Yeah.
Oh, now I want to watch that because Joey McGuire called Texas and Oklahoma the so-called Blue Bloods. And what he said last year after they beat Texas, now you got the commissioner saying, you know, hold up your end of the deal, get this done. Here's what Sark had to say today.
Well, you're trying to get me in trouble, Roger. But I jokingly aside, but not. You know, I got a letter from the commissioner about sportsmanship the day before that speech, and so I'm trying to figure out, you know, about what are we promoting to our student athletes and then to go say those types of things. So I'm not guessing he's going to have his Thanksgiving dinner with us the night before that game. But the reality of it is, you know, a lot's been made about that. A lot's been made about a T-shirt being made. Let's not make this more than it is, man. This is about us. We're focused on what we get to do and why we get to do it. We're proud to be part of the University of Texas, okay? We're proud to represent the burnt orange and white. We're proud to represent 550,000 living alumni. We're proud to represent 4 national championship teams. We're proud to get to go do that. And we know who's behind us, and that's okay. Now let's go play.
There you go. Simple. I like that. Don't strangle the fun out of college football. Embrace the rivalry. Embrace that this may be the last game against Texas Tech for a long time. And who doesn't want to see that game on the 24th of November now? I do. I'll be there. I'll be watching that game like you all will, and give the commissioner a little bit of credit, even though you're mad at him, that he has created some must-see TV with some trash talk. And that's not bad. Coming from the marketing world and wrestling and the NFL, I mean, it's what you're looking for. You're looking for, and ESPN wants that.
Yeah, this is supposed to be fun. Like, I know we forget about that a lot because, like, it becomes agonizing a lot as fans, right? Like, we spend so much time, you know, failing as fans and worrying about the losses. But it's just a bunch of kids playing football, you know? And, like, it should be exciting, and there should be trash talk, and there should be rivalry. And that's how this thing got so big in the first place. And so I just find it ironic that we're eliminating the things that, like, made it become the biggest sport outside of the NFL in the world. But this is just another example of, in my opinion, and some of it's just social media. I never know how much people are actually outraged and how much they're just like
They're looking for tweets.
being outraged.
Getting likes,
you know what I
likes
mean?
and
So
tweets.
it's like, I don't know. So much of this stuff is manufactured. But at the end of the day, the conference commissioner was talking to a bunch of like people from Texas Tech, and he talked to them like they were from Texas Tech.
He
It's
fed
not
him
that
some
big
red
of a-
meat.
Right, exactly.
Fed him some red meat,
it's
man.
no big deal.
When in Rome, have some fun. But yeah, he won't be having Thanksgiving dinner with the Longhorns.
No, probably not.
Well, and this Longhorns
And
may
that's okay.
counterattack. Hey, invite Greg Sankey to the game.
There you go.
Come on down.
That would be perfect.
Come down and hang
See,
out.
that's what we're talking about. That would be absolutely perfect.
Come enjoy your last game in the regular season
That'd
of Big 12 play.
That'd be tremendous.
Come hang out in the box with CDC. Come on, Greg Sankey, the commissioner
There you
of the SEC, for those who don't know that, which I'm sure you do. All right, that's our first quarter. We've hit the first whistle. It's closed on time by our man Carlos Carrion, thetexasmortgageguy.com. Can't stress enough, you put the "the" in there, THE, thetexasmortgageguy.com. When it's time for a new mortgage or refi, the landscape's never been more challenging. The interest rates keep rising, but that's, because of supply and demand, it's still a good time to buy a house if you can get it and get in. And that means the prices have come down, so it kind of negates itself. But Carlos is also a diehard Longhorn fan like you, and it makes so much sense if you're going to be doing a major transaction like this to be with somebody who's a like-minded person, knows the business, knows the lay of the land, but also bleeds burnt orange and is a Longhorn fan. And that's Carlos Carrion, thetexasmortgageguy.com, born and raised right here in Austin, Texas, a decade in the industry. He's there to just not give you a quote and make this easy on himself. He's your guide to help you solve those problems, strategize one of the most important financial decisions of your life, whether it's a new mortgage, a refi, buying a rental property of some kind. Great communicator, fast response times. Couldn't be easier. He's a listener, and he'll be checking in on this by Tuesday or Wednesday. He'll be watching this entire thing. He is our guy, Carlos Carrion, thetexasmortgageguy.com, bringing you our first quarter, which takes us to our second quarter, which is delivered, as always, by the Good Times and Incredible Scratch Comfort Food at Hayes City Store and Ice House in Driftwood, Texas, and the Taste on Main in downtown Buda. Can we pick up the from the macro conversation with Sark about his team, what he likes, and what he thought about Brett Yormark, to this week's matchup, the game itself, the focus on the Rice Owls, before our man Mike Craven breaks it down, the writer and the author of this story about the Rice season, the preview. No one knows as much about Rice than this guy. Let's hear what Sark thinks about the matchup with Rice. And he was actually asked, you can hear him here, is there any similarity between Rice and Alabama? Which was the way the question was posed. And you can kind of glean from the beginning of his answer, he probably doesn't see much similarity.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, like I said, they got great schemes. Coach Bloomgren, his staff do a tremendous job in all three phases. They're going to tax you. They're going to try to exploit your weaknesses like any good coaching staff would. So we need to prepare for what they're going to provide and get ourselves ready to play.
Mike, that was a guy that didn't want – somebody tried to get an Alabama question in during Rice Week, and he wasn't going there.
Right. I mean, they both play football, and they're made up of college athletes. That's all I got, for that one. Rice is what Rice is. Like they're a good appetizer for Texas, and Rice knows what this is about, right? Like they're trying to showcase themselves, and they get some money for the athletic department and all that kind of stuff. Like it's a win-win.
They don't get a lot of guys hurt.
Exactly.
Because they do have some pretty good frontline players. I mean, Mike Bloomgren has come in, and they've given him some time to build this right. They're recruiting. I think I heard Rod Babers this morning on our show on the Horn in Austin say that of their top 6 all-time recruiting classes, 4 of them have come in under Mike Bloomgren. That they've really done a nice job recruiting. Now you have JT Daniels, who, whatever you think of the vagabond nature of him, he started for 4 different Division I programs, and that takes a little bit of merit. Played at Georgia, played at West Virginia. Guy can play quarterback, so that's going to give your defense a good test. A guy who's veteran, who's going to try to attack you. You're better than them. You go 2-3 deep. They probably go 1 deep, maybe. So this should be just what you said. But this is a better Rice team than we've seen of late. You picked them to go 6-6 in the magazine.
Yeah, I mean, like Luke McCaffrey, outside that's Christian's little brother. He's a really good wide receiver. I mean, obviously his dad was an NFL All-Pro wide receiver for a really long time, so he's a talented dude. Their left tackle, Clay Servins, played 40-something games. They have a pretty talented offensive line. They have a new center, so that's going to be a trouble spot for them and a place that Texas probably takes advantage. Running backs are pretty good, and as you mentioned, Rice's main problem the last 5 years under Bloomgren's been the quarterback rotation. They've started more quarterbacks than any other team in the FBS since 2018. And so, JT Daniels, they have a connection dating back to Daniels being in 8th grade. Bloomgren was the offensive coordinator at Stanford. Daniels is a California kid. They were one of the first guys to offer him. Bloomgren jokes that he's tried to recruit him every single time he's gotten to the portal.
Finally got him.
Since then, and he finally came back to the crowd, to the Rice, and so I think for a G5 level at the American, JT Daniels is going to be really good. But again, this is 30-point spread for a reason. This is going to be a big time blowout if everything goes the way it should go.
We'll have our gambling pick of the fourth quarter coming up because we'll let you know where Vegas has this game and what we think about it, what side we would take. Let's hear Sark on the matchup, or what he wants to see Saturday. This is all coaches' fears, but what are the goals? What's the goal board look like when you kick off against Rice as a 5-touchdown favorite?
Well, I think first of all, you think about first games, and I watched them Saturday. I look at substitution errors. You got 12 on the field, you got 10 on the field. I look at some of the pre-snap penalty things. I look at tackling. I look at our coverage units in the return game. We're seeing big returns this past weekend. So inevitably, I want to see us execute. And all of that is kind of encompassed into that, whether it's pre-snap or post-snap. Our ability to execute, communicating really well, being on the same page, and then play our style of football.
Our style of football, we've heard that as a consistent theme. You can tell Sark's been drumming that. Our style of football, our standard, essentially. Do your job. Also wanted to play this for you, Mike, and get your thoughts. The group he is most excited to see in live action. Can you guess what that's going to be? Not having been at the press conference.
Running backs?
Well, you got that right. Here's Sark. He was asked, what group are you most excited to see on Saturday?
It had to be an offensive group.
It had to be offensive in his mind for sure.
Well, I think naturally, when you lose two players in Bijan and Roschon who carried such a bulk of the load for us a year ago, what is that going to look like? How's it going to feel? And I think that's going to be a little bit of a process for us, and that's okay. I think that they've got great players around them. They don't have to go in and try to, some superhuman effort. They just need to do what they've done throughout practice. And I think that we've got a good group there, but ultimately, finding that out. We got a glimpse of it in the bowl game. But I think now having a spring, a summer, a training camp to get themselves ready, I'm looking forward to watching that group play.
There's been some scuttle of late here that C.J. Baxter's come hard, Mike. That C.J. Baxter is pushing Jonathan Brooks, and
I told you.
You did. You have. If people have, of course, hopefully watched their multicasts, they've heard Mike Craven say it. Don't be surprised at C.J. Baxter, because Sark has proven over and over again in a short time that if you're good enough, you're old enough. Whether you're playing left tackle with Kelvin Banks or playing wide receiver, if you're the best player, we're not going to worry about your age or your class. We're going to put you on the field. And I think it would shock me if I saw C.J. Baxter run out as the starting running back at Alabama, but maybe I shouldn't be.
Yeah, and running back's one of those positions where you look at the load share more than who gets that first snap, and I think Brooks will definitely get the first snaps, at least early. I think early on I kind of said Baxter would be the starter by Oklahoma,
yep.
And I think that's still true. I think he's going to at least be getting most of the snaps and most of the touches by the Oklahoma game because he's that good. What happened with Bijan Robinson as a true freshman is not going to happen here because Sark's not that kind of coach. He's going to put guys out there, and he's not going to make them do something that he can't do. But he's going to figure out those 20 packages or those 20 plays that C.J. Baxter can execute on, and he's going to put them out there. He's going to put it out there a lot. So I'd imagine we see him a lot during Rice, and I think that just grows and grows. And that's good for the running back room. That he's becoming a star early and starting to build that momentum is really good for the running back room.
Again, we've seen it each of the 2 years for Sark. A freshman has broken out and become just a dude. And you could have a few of those guys, right? With C.J. Baxter, the fact that he came here in January. Also, don't forget that Jonathan Brooks was hurt during camp, and so he got a lot of first-team reps. And Sark has said we didn't put training wheels on him. We brought it hard to him, gave him the whole playbook, and expected him to learn it. Because I also know this, having talked to folks who covered the recruitment of C.J. Baxter, Florida's a different style of football. They don't have the period every day for football. They come in a little more raw out of Florida. They're talented as heck. We know that. But, you get a kid out of Texas, a little more polished potentially, usually. But you got it. But having C.J. Baxter here since January can only help.
Yeah.
You got 8-9 months with him.
Yeah, you got 8-9 months to work on those little things, right? Like pass protection. That's such a big deal for running backs. I know fans hate hearing that because it feels like an excuse to keep a really talented guy off the field, but you can't tip your hand. You can't put a guy out there that's only out there when you run the ball because defensive coordinators know you're going to get the quarterback killed if he stays in there to protect. And so I've seen some film, they put up those videos on the social media things, and you can tell he's trying, that he's a physical guy, that he's not afraid of doing that. And there's going to be some growing pains. But I like Sark's just ability to go hey, he's going to make some mistakes, but he's our best player, and we're going to put him out there.
Yeah, but a mistake, and for fans who get mad about running backs and pass pro, a mistake made in that regard gets your quarterback ear hold, could get your quarterback hurt, could lead to a turnover. He's got to be able to be in line. Because, again, this offensive line, we'll talk about it coming up in our third quarter, it's a veteran group. They should be on message. They should be on point. You need that running back to also know where his assignment is in a passing play. Because you're right, you can't tip it. With Jatavion Sanders in this offense, you should be able to disguise whether you're running or throwing. The personnel at running back can't give that away. He's got to be proficient in it. Or when Jonathan Brooks is in the game, you probably know they might pass more than they would if C.J. Baxter were in the game. He's got to get to that point, especially against a team like Alabama, especially on the road.
I think that's actually something we haven't talked about a lot, just like as a whole media, is how does Texas do in pass protection from the running back position? Because they've been excellent at it the last couple of years because they've had some dudes back there.
Yeah, Bijan, Roschon.
Like, they will block. Like, like those guys can block. And so we haven't seen Jonathan Brooks do it much either. So I don't think we know yet who the best pass blocking running back is. And the guy who becomes that is going to play a lot.
Well, Dallas Cowboy fans will know that Zeke Elliott kind of hang around in Dallas the last couple of years because he could protect Dak Prescott, his best buddy, when the blitz would come, and he would not duck out of there and let his quarterback get hit. Last one here in our quarter two, it's what are you most excited about everybody to see when 101,000 or 104,000 sweating, hot, sunburned fans show up at the stadium on Saturday and turn this thing on Fox TV. And thanks to Fox for putting this at 2:30. That was nice of y'all. Hopefully you executives who made that decision will come to the game and be there and witness 2:30 to 6:30 in Austin, Texas on September the 2nd. That'd be cool of you while you're sitting in your air conditioning. But let's hear Sark on what he's most excited about.
That we're a team. We really are. We're a team. And I think that we've got a great deal of connectivity, a great deal of love on this team. I think we've got a team that plays for one another, and that's the thing that I'm probably most excited about.
I think that goes back to a point you made a minute ago that Sark has not shied away from these expectations and this team. He really likes these guys. He really likes his team. He shows up, sounds like he shows up each day, and they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. He's not having to redirect. He's not having to, deal with put out fires. He's just, I like these guys. Now, he said, no coach knows what he's got until they get into a battle. But he likes what he sees day to day, and you are what you do every day. I mean, you develop the habits, and it sounds like he has witnessed for the last 8 months. This team shows up. This team's mature. When they don't, the leaders kind of snap guys back in line, and that gives a coach confidence at night.
I'd have to go back and really do a study to make this proclaimment, but I feel like he says my team and my guys a lot more now than he's ever said at Texas. That he's always kind of he may not only are they guys that he's recruited and he's stuck around. Like, I feel like you said, he just likes them. Like, he just likes the makeup of his team. He thinks that they're mature. He thinks he's got leaders. He knows he has talent. And so I'd imagine that Sark's kind of looking around going, like, where is the anvil? I think all football coaches are pretty paranoid in that way. Like, what is going to be the negative thing? What is going to be the adversity that this team has to face? And you just can't know it until that moment when they do it. But I think even given truth serum, Sark would bet on his team over the other teams. And I don't think that's been true the last 2 years. You could tell he's struggled with some of that group. For the first couple of years, it feels like they've turned the corner and become what he wants them to be, whatever that means.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens when it goes negative, and if it does go negative. And I am not comparing this to the 2005 national championship team, but that was the team Mac called the easiest team he ever coached. They just kind of coached themselves. Now, this team's not that talented. They're not there yet, but sometimes you do get a group that just, they show up, they do their job, and they're going to handle it internally. I like that a lot, but we'll see. There's 12 football games to be played starting tonight. Let me tell you about our friends at Hays City Store and Ice House. My buddy Travis Tyndall and his team, they bring you the second quarter. If you've not been to Hays City, what are you doing? It is a destination location in Driftwood, Texas. If you have been, I know you'll be planning to get back there for the football season. They're there, their patio. They're under the canopy of oak trees, live music 6 nights a week. Also the Ice House where the games are on, the football games, baseball games here in the summertime. And really what it really makes it is their scratch Texas comfort food because, you can have all the settings, everything you want, the people, but the food is what you come back for again and again. They've got the wood-fired pizzas, the house-ground burgers, the chicken fried steak, which is as big as the whole plate. It's unbelievable. The truck stop enchiladas you can't go wrong. Well, you've got a little healthier. They got some fish tacos that are great, got salads that are great. And then they got 53 beers on tap and a full bar, inside and outside, and so much more. It's 8989 FM 150 in Driftwood, Texas. Right there between Kyle and Wimberley, Driftwood and Dripping Springs. You can't miss it. It is a definite destination location. Hays City Store and the Ice House and their complete mouth-watering menu online at HaysCityStoreTX.com. That's HaysCityStoreTX.com. And remember, they got a great new location, Travis and Tamara, in downtown Buda that's called Taste on Main. If you want a little higher class, steaks and seafood, oysters, raw bar, special occasions, birthdays, anniversaries, Taste on Main is tremendous. Check that out as well. Hays City Store and Taste bring you the second quarter. Time to get to the halftime segment. Delivered, as always, at Just the Right Pressure by One Source Gas, your one-stop shop in Central Texas for all gas products. And let's start with, as you do at halftime of games, Mike, some halftime scores. We had USC on Saturday, 56-28. on the Pac-12 network, which I unfortunately could not find on my broadcast direct TV. Thank you. Welcome to the Pac-12, where the number 6 team in America is playing, and I can't see it. But if you saw it, what did you make of Caleb Williams' 4 touchdowns, but a defense that gave up 28 points and over 400 yards?
Yeah, I watched the first quarter. Obviously, that defense it looks like Oklahoma. Like it looks like a Lincoln Riley's coach football team, right? The offense is the best in the nation. The defense might be the opposite of that. And so it's going to matter. I think it always gets them.
This year in the Pac-12 with the teams like Washington and Utah, who beat them twice last year, Oregon.
Yeah, this isn't a cakewalk through.
No.
Right? I mean, Utah is always really good by November, right? And whatever happens.
We talk about the quarterback league that the Pac-12 is. Yeah. If you got good quarterbacks and you don't have a defense, you'll get shredded.
So I do worry about USC's defense. I'm a Lincoln Riley fan because somebody has to win the divorce between him and Oklahoma, and I know who I'm rooting for, right? Like he won the first year. So we'll see if he continues that on. The one thing I noticed, though, is that I'm out of game shape during week 0. I was in bed by 10, and I got to really work on that because there's going to be some late nights.
Yeah, time to get that game,
Right.
How do you work on that?
I don't know. I used to just be young. and be able to do it. And now
maybe
it's
in
like
a hyperbaric chamber or something,
mixing a nap or something.
Mixing a nap. Yeah, well, that's what old people do,
caffeine,
Mike.
So I'm going to have to figure
So, Mike, that's what old people do. They take naps in the middle of the day. They get in the easy chair and lay back, close their eyes, wake up, roll again.
It was week 0 for everybody.
That's right.
So you had to figure out what you need to work on.
All right, so also Notre Dame smacked around Navy, and they probably should have, but that's one of those military schools, military academies that can give you trouble. It was never close, and this kid Sam Hartman can really play, and we knew that. Notre Dame has a quarterback.
Yeah, Marcus Freeman's handsome.
Very handsome. He looks like a Hollywood actor.
It looks like he could still go out there and get you 12 tackles. Like that dude.
He's in game shape. He's in week 0 shape.
That's a bad dude. Like if we were putting together like a Royal Rumble for coaches, Freeman may be like a top 5.
Well, he was a badass linebacker at Ohio State back in the day. He was a good player.
He's still a grown dude. But yeah, Notre Dame looks really good. You always worry about their upside. That's why Brian Kelly left, because he didn't think that he thought you could be really good but not great. And I think that's where Notre Dame's going to be. But they did look a lot. Last year they played with their food a ton and just did really bad as big dogs. I think they were 2-6 as 20-point favorites last year. So to just go out and dominate and disrespect the troops like that was big for Notre Dame.
Yeah, 42-0, 42-3, whatever the final was. And
they kicked the field goal to not get shut out. That was great.
Way to go, Coach.
Yeah.
And I'll say this we record this podcast, multicast, right here in West Austin, overlooking Westlake High School, and Jaden Greathouse, as a freshman, was really good. 2 touchdown catches. That guy's a big-time player. And we've talked to Notre Dame insiders. They need him. They don't have. That's their big weakness right now is weaponry on the outside. They're good on their offensive line as usual. Good running backs. Good quarterback. It's going to get tougher. They're going to play Ohio State. They're going to play Clemson. They're going to play good teams in the ACC. It'll get tougher. But Jaden Greathouse, at least for week 1 against Navy, was up to the task.
Yeah, football players can play football, and he was always one of those guys that was never going to be ranked high enough just because of his production and stuff, and he just did
so good though.
He didn't have that straight line, just insane speed. He's not 6'5", he's not the ultra quick guy. He's kind of between wide receiver and a tight end, and there was always those questions of what he was going to be. And all I know is he plays football really well. And every time he touches the field, he goes and scores touchdowns, and that seems to be continuing.
At the powerhouse that Westlake is, he was on varsity as a freshman.
Yeah, playing for a state title.
That doesn't happen very often. No. That kid can play, and he could when he was 15 or 14 or whatever.
That's the thing that gets lost in recruiting.
Yeah,
and it's hard, right? Because how do you measure that? How do you put something onto that, right? But you do see some guys, and you go, well, I'm not going to rank them high enough. They're going to, it when you're doing it. That they're going to over exceed those expectations because you can't make him a top 10 guy because he didn't have the skills to go be an NFL top 10 draft pick.
And for a kid like Jaden, who's super smart and super competitive, it'll come out when he gets to the NFL. They're going to do the same thing. He'll be a 3rd round grade.
It's for the same reason.
Yeah, for the same. Oh well, he's not the fastest guy.
Well,
but he's going to show up and be a dog. Now, Nolan Hogan, our on-site and digital producer, you watched him a lot in high school.
I did. Yeah, I watched him and the other Austin native, Braylon James, who. It concerns me when you talk to Notre Dame insiders and they say they need Jaden Greathouse, and Braylon James grew up down the street and was a higher recruit on most platforms, and he didn't even see the field on Saturday. That just concerns me a little bit with your point exactly with how hard recruiting is. Braylon James was in high school, didn't play a lot of high school games, but did a lot of 7-on-7 in camps that got eyes on him and saw his frame and his athletic ability. And now he's at Notre Dame, and he's getting a little competition. It's a little tougher for him when you don't play those big games.
It's like what we were talking about with the Florida recruits.
Yeah, Florida recruits.
He's a kid that has a higher ceiling than Greathouse, but he's going to take some time to get there. Like
Well,
Jaden's like at his ceiling, right?
and
He's
knowing
been
Todd-
living above his ceiling.
When you play that many years for Todd Dodge, you know how to
Yeah,
play football.
right, exactly.
And you're just a good player like he is.
You're
That's
more
so
advanced.
structured.
Yeah, exactly.
He's so structured. That program is a machine. So he walks in advanced. Yeah, he's come through the advanced degree program to get to Notre Dame. Braylon James will be a work in progress. You know that. All right. One other note in our halftime. Today and yet tomorrow, which Monday and Tuesday of game week, are cut down days in the NFL. The NFL preseason is over, which means we're keeping an eye on 41 Longhorns in camps. And yes, today was a surprise. Colt McCoy was released by the Arizona Cardinals, who are officially tanking their season. They are trying to get the number one pick. They want Caleb Williams because Colt McCoy was their only experienced quarterback. They traded for Joshua Dobbs last week from Cleveland, who got beat out for the backup job behind Deshaun Watson by the rookie out of UCLA, the kid Dorian Robinson.
Yeah.
Beat him out, so he was expendable for Cleveland. So he's there, and he's going to start, I guess. They're going to go with Josh Dobbs because Kyler Murray hurt his knee late last season. He's not going to be ready for mid-season. I said this on the Horn Morning Show this last week. Maybe one of the easier future bets. Take Arizona under 4.5 wins this year. Under 4.5. It's still on the board in Vegas. Maybe it changed now that Colt's been let go, but that roster, that team, DeAndre Hopkins is gone. J.J. Watt retired. All their good players are gone. It's a new coach. It's a new GM. They're not playing for this year. They will not win 5 games. Come on. That's crazy. They play in a division with the Niners, the Rams, and the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Take the under 4.5.
Not only I think they're tanking for Caleb Williams, but they might do a Texans move and go for Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr.
Well, the Texans pick is theirs.
Yeah, it's
Because
theirs.
the Texans did the Will Anderson trade on draft night, which if Houston can play into a 6 or 7 or 8 win team, which D'Amico Ryans is talking about with C.J. Stroud, then maybe that pick's not as high. But yeah, they very well could be a 3-4 win team this year, and now they're picking 1-2 or 1-3 or something along those lines. Now Houston still has Cleveland's pick, but that won't be as good as their own. I don't think. Okay, we'll keep it on that roster tracker in the NFL. So far, no other cuts that I saw today. A lot of guys released, no Longhorns. So it sounds like everybody has a chance to make this squad wherever they are of the 40-41 Longhorns.
And shout out Colt McCoy for getting to live out the dream for so long. That's the best job in the
It's
world.
a life.
Yeah, he did it about 10, 12 years.
I had an uncle who did it. Will Shearer did it for the Oilers and the Broncos and stuff for a long time. Being a backup quarterback in the NFL is cake. Like that is living life.
You can do it for double-digit years, get vested.
Yes.
The best ever. Speaking of Todd Dodge, he coached a guy named Chase Daniels at South Lake Carroll. Chase Daniels has made over $40 million.
Finesse God.
Think about this. Chase Daniels out of Missouri has made over $40 million in contracts in his NFL career and has started 8 games. 8 all-time games for $40 mil.
Need to add up the millionaires Todd Dodge has built.
He has. Okay, so there's your halftime. It's brought to you by One Source Gas of Austin. They are and is your Texas compressed gas leader. Boy, growing from a small company into a monster that's growing like crazy all through Central Texas into San Antonio. One Source Gas provides compressed gas such as CO2, nitrogen, and oxygen on the daily or the weekly, depending on your need. Propane as well to various industries throughout the great state. They are your lead CO2 provider for the service and hospitality industry. We're also serving medical needs as well. One Source Gas, locally owned and operated. My buddy Richard Strever and his team, they operate person to person over 12 years now, understanding that exceptional customer service is the key to your success when providing products. Like you just need those products, right? If you're a dental office, bar, or restaurant with the taps for your bar, got to have those. And you need that CO2. Veterinary clinic as well. You don't get to do business if you don't have that. You have those compressed gas needs, and you're looking for a new or better CO2 or compressed gas provider. You can't go wrong with our friends at One Source Gas. And here's the website, onesourcegasatx.com. Spell out the number 1, please. onesourcegasatx.com, or call Richard, 214-8484. That's 214-8484. He or one of their great staff members will be glad to help you with your compressed gas needs. They bring you our halftime segments, and more to come on that throughout the season. Third quarter brought to you by my friend Dr. Greg Eckert and his team and partners at Brain Vault Technology. Adults and kids can play hard, but play safe with Brain Vault. We'll get you that in detail coming up with Dr. Greg Yu, my man. But Brain Vault brings you this. Sark Audio continues into our third quarter. How about the ongoing positional battles, Mike Craven? We know that there's some, backup quarterback chatter. Backup quarterback into week one. Is it Malik? Is it Arch Manning behind Quinn Ewers? Cornerback, right guard. All of substance going into game one. Here is Sark today about these ongoing battles through the mock week of last week.
Well, I think one of the cool things about pretty much every position group that you talked about, that's why we practice throughout the week, and that's why that they come with a real intent to work every day. Malik and Arch, right now, they're both doing well, and so who do we feel like come Thursday is the guy that kind of earned that opportunity to be the backup this week? That'll be who the backup is. The running back position, the same. We got a lot of information to still take in here this first few ball games, and so that's kind of how that position is going to go. And the corner position really too. Like I said, we've got 4 corners we feel comfortable with in Ryan and Gavin, Malik, and in Terrence. And so for them to show us throughout the week that they're ready to go and who's ready to play, then we can decide and make those tough calls later in the week.
All right, Mike, positional battles. There we go. Quarterback still there, compete into the end. Corner, think about that corner spot opposite Ryan Watts. He's going to be your starting, boundary corner. But, on the other side, you got to have a corner in Gavin Holmes, who they brought in from Wake Forest, has competed really well with Terrence Brooks, who a lot of people thought would be the guy. And then there's a kid named Malik Murphy, Manny Murphy they call him, or Manny Muhammad, who's really had a great camp and has forced turnovers and made plays in all the scrimmages. So that's good to have. You got 3 guys really competing like that.
Yeah, those are champagne problems. You want that. You want guys, especially on the back end, that can rotate in and out. You want some linebackers. You want some edge rushers. You need depth along the offensive line, so it's good to have more than just 5 guys pushing there. So it feels like Texas is in a position where they've wanted to be. This is where Sark's tried to get this roster. Those are the last 3 recruiting cycles. I'm a cynical sports writer, journalist guy. I wonder how true the backup battle really is. How much could Arch have come along since the last time we saw him take snaps to catch what we saw with Malik?
He's a prodigy, Mike.
I'd imagine some of that's just trying to get Arch some confidence. Yeah. Like when you read these reports, right? The spoiler alert: the coaches are telling these reporters what to report, right? And they're not going to tell them people stink. They're sending some messages through the media, and they know that Arch didn't play well in the spring game, and they're helping fans and they're helping Arch along the way. But if Quinn got hurt in the first drive,
Malik
Murphy's playing the second one. This is what it is. I'm sorry to spoiler all that.
Now maybe Ethan Burke has apparently locked down the defensive end position. Speaking of Westlake players, opposite Barron Sorrells. At the defensive tackle position, you got, what you're dealing with there with Byron Murphy and Alfred Collins and the rotation there. But cornerback, I do think there's a battle. I think right guard, because I will say this: if you're Alabama and you're paying attention, you got guys watching all these press conferences. The reports that the defense has gotten the better, and especially the interior of the defense has gotten the better of the offensive line in these scrimmages. I got to think Nick Saban. Okay, let's challenge them in the interior, which the Nick Saban team's going to do anyhow. Yeah. Let's get after DJ Campbell or, Jake Majors, whoever, Hayden Connor. We know how good Kelvin Banks is. We kind of know how good this Christian Jones can be. But let's really test them because it sounds like they've been battling a little bit. But we'll see. I would also say, and hear from Sark on Quinn Ewers, the one thing that is true, I saw Quinn today. He is slim. He's got the haircut. He looks like a totally different person. It's amazing 1 year to the next. Because last year, I'll be honest with you, I know he had the beard and he had the mullet and just he looked disheveled and he didn't look like, oh man, is this guy taking this seriously? And I don't want to judge. It's like my own son right here. Sometimes I see him with his hair down and he look a mess, like an unmade bed. And then sometimes he looks all buttoned up in his suit and he can sharpen it up. But that's how Quinn was. But here is Sark talking about Quinn Ewers and being able to work with him this offseason as the established starter.
I think you look fine.
Yeah, thank you. I do too. Yeah, I do too. I'm his dad. I'm hard on him.
I know. Yeah. I just wanted him to hear it.
Thank you very much. The established starter. So the difference in coaching a player who knows he's the starter, he's not looking over his shoulder all the time.
Yeah, and I think that for Quinn, obviously there's a sense of confidence for him, right? That's just natural. That's human nature. But I think it's allowed me to coach him differently, where he's feeling like when I'm coaching him, it's coaching him to be the best that he can be and not feel like sometimes that I'm pointing things out that he's doing wrong and why is he thinking I'm doing something wrong and maybe can get defensive. That's anybody. That's human nature. When in reality, the whole time we're always coaching everybody to try to be the best that they can be and do it right. And so, but I do think there's a level of confidence. I think Quinn and I have gotten to a really cool space of communication and understanding. I'm able to talk to him about the minutia in plays and in defenses and things going on, and he's worked at it. And I think that he's earned those conversations, and in the end, he's applying them. And I think as an offense and as a team, we're reaping the benefits of that.
Quinn Ewers, you poised for a big year. He's got great weaponry. We know that. They hope to be able to run the football behind an offensive line. How about this little nugget in our third quarter, Mike? This is the first time the Texas O-line has had since at least 1993. This is from the Texas game notes that were issued today. The first time since at least 1993 they wrote that all 5 starters from the previous season's offensive line returned. That's 30 years. It's the 11th time in the last 30 seasons in which 4 starters return. So this is rarefied air, even for Kyle Flood, who said he can't remember having all 5 back, plus 2 or 3 guys who have played football. Your thought? We're going to hear the position about it, but give me your thoughts on what you heard from Quinn playing behind what should be a veteran O-line.
Yeah, I mean, a contract year comes to mind for Quinn, right? And like we see it in every sport where guys know that there's a lot of money on the line, that your future's on the line, and you figure stuff out. You mature real quick when there's multi-million dollars on the line. And we've talked about this openly on the show. Now, Quinn Ewers is going to be in the NFL draft or the transfer portal after this year, most likely, right? He's going to play himself into one of those 2 things. And so he knows this is why he reclassified early from Southlake, by the way, right? Not only to get the Levi money, but to start the clock and to get 3 years removed from high school so you can go to the NFL draft. He's going to be
mid-cycle.
Yeah, he's going to be ahead of Cade Klubnik and Connor Wegman and those guys who he originally was in the same grade of. And so this is a major year for the Ewers family, in totality. And, he's going to be a first-round draft pick if he gets it all together and he figures it out and he takes it seriously. And so far, so good.
All right, there you go. That'll be good for cuts. Let's go to tell you about Brain Vault in our third quarter. More than just a mouth guard. I was visiting with my friend Dr. Greg Eckert just the other day, telling me all the players around the Big 12 and in the NFL that are now wearing the Brain Vault mouthpiece. It's pretty incredible. The quarterback Tyler Shuck at Texas Tech has been fitted for one. Blake Shapen, a lot of the Baylor players. Listen, this is more than just a mouth guard. The Brain Vault technology optimally aligns your lower jaw position and strengthens the neck muscles to minimize concussive forces. This is what it's all about. This is rigorously researched and tested. Strong neck muscles help slow the head down during contact. When you're making head-to-head contact collisions, when you have strong neck muscles, and this is what the Brain Vault technology, once you're fitted for it, does. It helps to minimize the stretch and the shear of the brain tissue, which leads to those TBIs, right? The traumatic brain injury. And, the rigorous testing, not just Dr. Greg Eckert and his team from the dental side, but also Drew Pittman, 30 years an agent in the NFL, got 8 clients all over the NFL that are wearing this technology, and not a single one has suffered a concussion over the last 2 seasons. Play hard, but play safe is their motto. If you've got a team of players, you've got youngsters, you're a high school football coach, go to brainvault.com. And they can get you together and do a fitting, teach you all about the technology, get your whole team outfitted for the Brain Vault technology. It's brainvault.com, all one word. That's brainvault.com. Really does work. Play hard, but play safe with Brain Vault. It's not just football, by the way. Dr. Eckert was telling me cheerleaders suffer more concussions than football players these days with head-to-head collisions, falling from the top. Get those Brain Vault technology going for all sports where there's contact, lacrosse, soccer. Get that going. You got to check it out. Brainvault.com.
Cheerleading is the most dangerous UIL sport in high school.
Man, they're falling from pyramids. Yeah. They're hitting each other's heads, and
doing
a lot going on there. Backflips.
And they're on the track a lot. Like it's a hard fall. A lot of ankles, a lot of wrists. A lot of that problem.
Yeah, there are a lot of injuries coming from that. It's scary. Okay, so it's our fourth and final quarter. Thank you to Brain Vault. We hit our big 4 conversations of the week to wrap things up. Get up your fourth quarter. It's brought to you by our friends at Access Discount Healthcare, not an insurance. It's not a discount card. It's a Netflix-style prescription benefit plan to save you a lot of money on your prescription drugs on a month-to-month and annual basis. Big convo number 1, Mike Craven. To wrap this up, Texas favored by 35 over the Rice Owls. Is that too high, too low, just right? What side do you want?
I think it's probably just right. I mean, I would personally stay away from it because I just would never bet a line that was that big either way. You know, I think I would probably take Rice in the points, just because I don't know if Texas wants to blow anybody out. You know, like if they're going to pull
backdoor
off
cover
the gas or whatever, something like that. But it does feel about right. I mean, I would think Texas is about a 5-touchdown favorite over this team.
Yeah, it's 5 touchdowns. Yeah, and scoring on. I know the Longhorns are going to want to score on offense, defense, and special teams, or at least create scoring opportunities with all phases to prime themselves for Alabama. Get a lot of guys on the field. That typically, when you do get guys that are trying to still win a depth chart spot. You're going to have Texas players playing hard to the end. Will Rice becomes the question because their depth is not close to what Texas is, and it is going to be hotter than you know what. So Texas by 35. It's one I would probably lean away from too. Those Vegas guys know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to get them early, you get them early, right? Because if you got a good hunch, go ahead and ride that. What about the other Big 12 games of interest for you this weekend, Mike? TCU favored by 20.5 over Colorado State, and Deion Sanders in his debut with the Buffaloes or Colorado. What did I say? Colorado
State.
Colorado. And, of course, this is going to be the 11 o'clock kick in Fort Worth, marquee matchup. ESPN will be all over it. Deion is Deion. What are we feeling about this game?
I will be there.
You're going to be in Fort Worth, so we'll have a full report next week.
I will be in Fort Worth in attendance. I am super curious how opposing coaches handle this Deion Sanders first-year tour. Because I imagine most of them try to blow him out.
Yeah.
Right? Because,
they don't want his way to work.
And they don't want him coming and stealing people off his roster. And it's easy to keep. And it's easy to keep him off your roster if you beat him by 40. You can go to your center and go, "You're going to go to where? We just beat him by 40 points." Whereas if you just beat him by 7, Deion can go, "Well, you get over here now." And
we were 1-11 last year. We're coming.
Not only is this trying to keep Deion out of your backyard, not only in the transfer portal, but in recruiting. Like Sonny doesn't want him in DFW, right, where he was a legend recruiting and laying oats there. But also he's a Big 12 foe. Like, he's coming into your conference. Like, that's a future conference opponent starting next year. And so I think Sonny, if he can get a chance, and I think he will, is going to beat him by 40 or 50 points. Like, TCU in giving the points is my number one lock of the weekend, I believe.
20.5. I love this.
Is Deion going to be walking, or is he going to be on crutches?
He'll be limping.
Didn't he lose another toe?
He did. He's been dealing with the foot circulation issues, and he's lost a couple of toes. Deion will be there, and he'll be brash. He'll probably have the cowboy hat on.
Yeah.
Deion's going full Jerry Glanville, going all in. I love it.
I'm going for the post-game press conference.
He's turned his limp
so you'll be there
at
Fort Worth live, right?
Yep.
What's that, Nolan?
He turned that limp into a pimp walk.
He'll be a pimp walk. Yeah. That's right. Deion will do his thing. Other
games
this weekend, I don't think there's another one of interest in the Big 12. Missouri State, Kansas. Kent State, the Flashes are playing Central Florida. Arkansas State, Oklahoma in Norman, part of that easy schedule Oklahoma's playing this year. Northern Iowa and Iowa State. That should be thrilling. I mean, there could be a grand total of 20 points in that game.
The FCS team may win that one.
I know. Eastern Kentucky and Cincinnati will play because Cincinnati's now a Big 12 team. Don't forget that. Texas and Rice. Central Arkansas at Oklahoma State. UTSA at Houston.
Boom.
That's the game
That's
you're
the
watching.
game.
That's the game.
That's the game. That's where I wish I was. If I got to pick where I go, and normally I do, but I'm doing kind of a side project this year, I would be at UTSA.
That's your alma mater against Dana Holgerson and the Cougs.
Yeah, Houston's going to have cool jerseys. It's going to be
it's only a point and a half line too.
Yeah. No, UTSA is good, man.
Give me that. Texas State and Baylor. That's of intrigue. Our friend G.J. Kinney, former Longhorn, he's making his coaching debut against Dave Aranda. Texas Tech is at Wyoming, so you'll get to see a Longhorn opponent in 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Wyoming at Wyoming, they're going to Laramie. Get your guns up in Laramie. They'll get their guns up with you up there. I promise you.
Those are two sister universities, basically. There's a lot of Venn diagram overlap between Wyoming and Texas Tech.
Interesting game here, West Virginia and Penn State. That's a border rivalry that they don't play very often. Usually West Virginia's biggest rival is Pittsburgh. Across the Pennsylvania border, but playing Penn State, the flagship there in Pennsylvania. Sam Houston State and BYU. So Sam Houston now FBS playing BYU, a new Big 12 team. So that'll be of intrigue as well. It's a late one. You have to get your sleep in. That's a 9:15 kick.
Get your nap in there.
Yeah, I'll probably watch that the next morning. just to be honest with you guys, before the recap pod on the Republic of Football of all the games across the state that we do on Sunday. But yeah, I mean, we're excited, man. Like 13 teams in the state of Texas. Get to see Sam Houston. G.J. Kinney makes his debut. North Texas is playing Cal. Eric Morris making his debut up in Denton. And so that UTSA Houston game is going to be – last year was triple overtime. Where I remembered that they changed the rule to make the triple overtime just a 2-point conversion contest, which sucks. Like, it's the worst. But it was a really good game, and I hope it's going to be another good one this year.
Yeah, the U of H, Sam, the U of H UTSA game is really intriguing.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
Texas Rice, not so much, but there are a couple in there. I like that. And how about LSU and Florida State on Sunday of Labor Day? This is a big-time game. This top 10 game winner is in a good spot. Florida State wants to be back in the ACC, much like Texas. LSU's got Jaden Daniels back, best quarterback in the SEC maybe. And Brian Kelly overachieved last year at LSU. That's a sexy game for Sunday.
And this feels like two teams that are kind of media preseason darlings. You know,
Yeah.
everybody's kind of on Florida State and everybody's on LSU. And one of those teams is likely to not be as good as we think that they're going to
Agreed.
be. And so we'll kind of get the first indication of what that is on Sunday.
Thursday night, if you're looking at the schedule, Florida plays Utah.
Yeah.
Florida and
Cam's
Utah.
gonna play, though.
You don't think what? No,
I don't think Cam Rising is going to play.
I don't either. And that's Billy Napier's year 2. Kyle Whittingham's been there for 20 years. So, interesting game. Utah's tough to beat at home. Salt Lake, altitude, great crowd. Florida coming from the swamp. Because I know last year when Utah played at Florida, it was a great game, and they just that humidity just sucked it out of the Utes there. Also, Mac Brown's got a big one. South Carolina. Remember, South Carolina finished 8-4 last year for Shane Beamer, but they beat Tennessee and Clemson at the end of the year to go 8-4. Mac Brown's team with Drake May, that's an interesting matchup too. And Washington out of the Pac-12 playing Boise State. That'll be an interesting game too in Week 1. Final thought of our Final Four big conversations to wrap up this week's edition, the 18th edition of the Eyes on Texas multicast. Desmond Howard, he of the crystal ball.
Yes. Known
Miss
prognosticator.
Miss Cleo. Had his playoff bracket revealed on Saturday, College Game Day. Alabama playing Florida State in one national semi. Michigan playing Texas. No, Michigan playing – I don't have this right. But he's got Michigan playing Texas for the national championship coming out of their semifinals. And he's got Michigan, his alma mater, winning the Natty. What's crazier, Michigan winning the whole thing or Texas being there?
I think Texas being there is crazier.
I agree.
Like we've seen Michigan in the football playoff. They were, a couple plays away from playing for the championship last year. I think in the magazine I picked Michigan to play in the national championship against Georgia. So I agree with them there. I think we got our answer of which one of LSU and Florida State is going to take the step back, and it's going to be Florida State.
Thank you, Desmond.
Yeah, since he's there. And then if you're Kirby Smart, you got to be happy that you weren't picked. Because Georgia's going to find a way to be the underdog story of 2023. You know that, right? Like I remember last year at the national championship game, like all the players and the coaches talked about how much they had been doubted all year, and like this is the kind of stuff that they're talking about, like entertainment TV.
That's right, Desmond. And all the ESPN analysts on Saturday at Game Day picked Texas to win the Big 12. So that's what we talked about earlier. So Texas, if they're to beat Alabama, watch out. Now the college playoff is in the conversation for Sark's team. Michigan's the real deal because they've been building to this year. Jim Harbaugh has said we feel like we have 20 guys who are going to get drafted into the NFL, which would break the Georgia record. So including their quarterback, J.J. McCarthy.
Take the under on that.
Take the under on
the 20.
On the 20, yeah.
Picks, yeah.
Take the under. Yeah. Take the under. All right, Michael, that's good stuff right there. What was your Final Four as we launched the season?
I think it was Georgia, Michigan, USC, which I already regret, and Alabama.
Okay, I like that.
Because I think Alabama's going to do this thing where they go like 11-1 and miss the SEC championship game, and that's like exactly where they want to be because they're automatically in.
Yeah, you're right about that. They don't have to play in the championship game. And Georgia, man, they're going for 3 in a row.
Yeah. Have you seen their schedule?
Yeah, it's easy.
It doesn't even look real.
That's part of why it's kind of like Oklahoma's schedule. This doesn't look like that. Doesn't make a lot of sense. But I do like Texas to win the Big 12, but not make the playoff. I think they're a 10-2 football team this year in that range. And I think Ohio State is going to be in that thing. I think Ohio State, they got to find a quarterback. Their receivers are ridiculous. I think the Buckeyes, this will be the year they get back at Michigan. But I do like them in that spot. And watch Penn State in that conference. If their quarterback is as advertised, they could be the spoiler alert. I think Georgia's going to be there just because. For sure. And look, they're going for 3 in a row. And this is for anybody's point about Texas. The last 2 teams looking for 3 in a row, it was Texas that upset the apple cart. Hadn't been done since Minnesota in the 30s. Great Depression times. Texas beat North Nebraska in the first Big 12 championship game, going for 3 straight. And, of course, Texas beat USC in the Rose Bowl in 2005. Those are the last 2 programs with a look at 3 in a row. So maybe it's Texas again, playing Georgia to try to derail and upset the trifecta, which would be interesting. All right, that's our fourth quarter, and that's going to wrap up our program. It's brought to you by our fourth quarter always, and I need you to check this out. This is the Access Discount Healthcare Group, not an insurance or a discount card. It's a Netflix-style prescription drug benefit plan. I know if you are spending big dollars and big bills monthly and annually on your prescription drugs, you're thinking, man, I wish I could do like Netflix thing where I spend a monthly subscription fee, and then I get all my prescriptions. Well, that's what this is. It's a prescription drug platform. If you're a single person, one alone, it's $21.99 a month. Then an individual with two people, a couple, $26.99 per month, and then a family of three or more, as many in your family, as long as you're living at the same address, three or more is $31.99. So once you pay that monthly installment, the prescriptions up to 64,000. They have over 96% of all prescriptions available to you, and over 64,000 pharmacies like Walgreens, CVS, and others where you can pick them up. They can also deliver them to you. Once you sign up for the platform, your doctor will be informed of it, and they will make sure your proper prescriptions are ready to go, just like they should be. And again, $21.99 a month for an individual, $26.99 for two, $31.99 for a family. That's going to save you a lot of money. There are no long-term contracts. I think that's the most important thing about this. Already 1.5 million Americans have signed up for this using the platform. The retention rate is an incredible 98.5%. And you can drop it anytime. Do it this month and not do it next month. That's fine, but no one drops it because they're seeing huge savings. Collectively, Americans have already saved over $100 million and growing by the day. Not an insurance card, not a discount card. It's yourfreerxdrugs.com, yourfreerxdrugs.com to sign up and learn more. All your questions will be answered right there. yourfreerxdrugs.com. All right, Michael, that's going to put a wrap on another edition, 18 in the books now, on the Eyes on Texas multicast. We are a product of the Republic of Texas Football on Dave Campbell's Texas Football Podcast Network. We're powered by Grande Equipment. Thank you to our digital producer, Nolan Hogan, our normal executive producer, Griffin Hogan, for their incredible work. And this week, special shout-out to Jacob Standard in the house. Gave me a shirt off his back to make this happen today, and he's picking a ball up this week. We appreciate him. Also, thank you to Carlos Carrion, the Texas Mortgage Guy, Hay City Store in Driftwood, One Source Gas, Dr. Eckert, and Brain Vault, and, of course, yourfreerxdrugs.com. Michael, enjoy Fort Worth. Go in watching a football game. We're done talking about football games.
Yeah.
Are we excited about that?
Going to be in the press box, which is what I'm most excited about because it's also an 11 o'clock kick. It's going to be really hot. And so, stay hydrated. Get in the shade as much as you can and enjoy victory for your favorite team. Well,
be ready next week. We'll record next Monday. We'll have a score in the books for the Longhorns in all these games. Mike will have an eyewitness account of the Deion Sanders phenomenon from Fort Worth. That'll be must-watch next week with our episode 19. Remember, the multicast that keeps you on top of all things Texas football is available to watch weekly on the Dave Campbell's and the Horn in Austin YouTube pages, Dave Campbell's Texas Football, hornfm.com. Also available for download through iTunes and Spotify as soon as it's loaded, which should be about lunchtime tomorrow, or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Have a great week. It's game week. Let's hook 'em.